You lie still beneath a velvet sky, scattered with stars like quiet embers, each one flickering across the canvas of forever. The earth beneath you hums with age, and above the night breathes in silence. The air is cool, but not cold. You are neither heavy nor light, only aware. The universe doesn't demand your attention. It simply waits, and slowly, softly, you begin to listen. A gentle tug rises in your chest, not a jolt, but a beckoning. It's not fear, not even curiosity. It's wonder moving like tidewater in your veins. You think of gravity, how it has always been painted as a force, a push, a pull, a weight. But in this silence, it reveals its true nature, a longing, a tender invitation. The kind you feel when you gaze at someone from across a quiet room, and they quietly, imperceptibly gaze back. Gravity is not the hand that drags you. It's the voice that says, "Come home." It pulls on oceans, raises tides, steadies moons. It tugs on you now, not with power, but with patience. You are held, not pressed. You are beckoned, not commanded. Somewhere in the spaces between stars, gravity weaves a net of silk, invisible and vast, holding everything not in place, but in rhythm. You close your eyes and let your mind drift upward, beyond the clouds, beyond the cold vacuum of space, beyond where air forgets to breathe and light stretches thin. You move toward the edge of understanding, toward the threshold of something vast and strange, and yet oddly comforting. There you begin to feel them. The black holes, they are not monsters, not devourers. They are not the chaos you've been told. They are keepers of secrets, silent and still. They do not chase stars, they wait for them, quiet as cathedrals. Their hunger is not rage, it is gravity at its most intimate. Imagine a place where space folds inward, not collapsing, but curving into a quiet embrace. A place where time itself begins to stretch and yawn. That is a black hole. Not a hole really, but a wound in the fabric of space that does not bleed, only bends. Around it, light dances in dizzying spirals, drawn not by fear, but by longing. You see one now, through the lens of thought. It doesn't shimmer, it doesn't roar. It rests at the center of a forgotten galaxy, its gravity the heartbeat of everything around it. Stars orbit like candle flames in slow ceremony. Clouds of gas swirl like watercolor. Time stretches thin here, like honey, like lullabies. A second becomes a lifetime. A moment, a memory. You drift closer in your mind, not falling, but drawn. The closer you come, the slower everything moves. Sound becomes hush. Thought becomes breath. Light curves like a ribbon around a hand you cannot see. Even your sense of self feels quieter, smaller, not erased but simplified, as though gravity is peeling away every unneeded layer. You imagine standing at the edge of the event horizon, that threshold beyond which nothing returns. It is not a wall, it is not even a line, it is a silence, so deep it has shape. You don't fear it, you only feel the pull of understanding, like standing on the shore of something you cannot cross, yet still recognizing its song. Scientists call this boundary the point of no return, but that phrase forgets the poetry of it. For at the event horizon, things do not end, they transform. To cross it is not to vanish, but to surrender, to become one with gravity's deepest dream. You are reminded of a leaf falling into a stream, not lost, but carried, or a sigh drifting into sleep, not ended, but enfolded. This is what black holes offer. Not terror, but transcendence. A mystery too large to fear, too still to fight. You picture light itself hesitating. It speeds at the limit of possibility, yet here, at the edge it pauses, not out of weakness, but out of awe. It spirals in slower and slower, caught not in a trap, but in a spell. The black hole does not force. It invites. Even time listens here. Hours and years stretch thin and threadbare, like whispers stretched across centuries. Near the black hole, clocks slow, heartbeats become echoes. If you were to watch someone fall in from far away, you would see them move slower and slower, frozen just before the edge, forever approaching, never arriving. A moment that never finishes, a door forever half open. Inside the black hole we don't know what waits. Equations break down. Rules collapse. It is the boundary of knowing. And yet, that too feels sacred, not a failure, but a gift. Some things are meant to remain mystery, so that we never stop looking up, never stop wondering. You lie under your blanket of stars and realize black holes are not ends, they are beginnings folded backward. Perhaps they are not devourers of light, but protectors of something deeper, cradles of creation, or portals not yet understood. Maybe on the other side is a beginning in disguise, a seed waiting. You feel the earth beneath you again, steady and slow. You are still lying there, wrapped in night, your breath matching the rhythm of faraway things. The black hole still sings, though distant, a low hum like the hush of deep water. And gravity still cradles you, not as a force, but as a feeling. As your eyes rest behind your eyelids, you imagine the soft weave of space-time stretching across the universe, like a quilt. Every star, every planet, every thought gently tugged by invisible threads, all of it held. Nothing escapes gravity, not even dreams. And so you drift, neither up nor down, but inward, into a gravity not of weight, but of wonder. A slow descent into questions, into softness, into silence. Beneath you the earth turns, above stars burn with histories they cannot speak. And at the center of galaxies, black holes wait, not as threats but as listeners. You begin to wonder, not about the weight of gravity, but about its shape. Could it be curved like memory? Could it be gentle like lullabies? You breathe, and the breath feels older than your body. You listen, and the silence feels full. And just as your mind begins to dissolve into that hush, a new thought flickers. If gravity can bend light, what else might it bend? You drift now toward a different light, not distant, like the stars above, but intimate and pulsing. A massive star, ancient and alive, comes into view. Its surface ripples like golden silk. Its body hums with the music of fusion. You are close enough to feel its warmth, not burning but steady, like the memory of a held hand. This star is not like your sun. It is bigger, heavier, older in its fire. It lives fast, burns bright. Inside it, hydrogen collides and fuses, becoming helium, then heavier things. Each moment is a forging, a birth of new elements. Gold, carbon, oxygen dreamed into being in the star's molten heart. You imagine yourself within that core, pressure so intense, it feels silent, temperatures high enough to melt thought into light. But you are not afraid, you are only curious. You watch atoms dance, fuse, break, remake. The star breathes in fusion. Each inhale births energy, each exhale, light. Time stretches forward, millennia pass in moments. The star grows heavier, in its heart, the fusion slows. The chain of reactions that once danced freely, now begins to stumble, and with each pause, gravity waits patient, ancient, and listening. You've learned to see gravity not as force, but as invitation. Here it waits like a memory that never forgets. And when fusion stops, gravity steps forward. The star begins to collapse, not in anger, not in panic, but like an exhale after too many long breaths. The outer layers tremble, the core folds. The weight is too much now, and the balance tips. Fusion once held gravity at bay, but without fire, there is only fall. You feel it happening, not as destruction, but transformation. The star shrinks in on itself, its surface pulls inward. The layers fold and twist and collapse. Light surges, an echo, a final flare. It may seem like an explosion, but to the star, it is a sigh. The last one. A supernova bursts outward, brilliant, sudden, a ripple through space and time. For a blink it outshines galaxies. Its elements scatter into the universe, seeds of planets, oceans, breath, but not all of the star is flung away. Some part of it stays behind. Some part continues inward, Gravity pulls not just light, not just mass, but meaning. It gathers what remains. It does not crush, it cradles, even now. The core folds deeper, tighter, beyond any scale you've known. The atoms compress, electrons are pressed into protons, protons dissolve into something smaller still. You can't see it, not really, but you feel it, a presence where space forgets how to stay wide. The black hole is born, but born is the wrong word. It is not an arrival, it is a becoming. From the heat of fusion, from the breath of a star, something impossibly dense emerges, not large, not fiery. A single point smaller than imagining, heavier than understanding. It holds the weight of suns in a whisper. You do not fall toward it. You drift, slowly, as if pulled by a story that wants to be read again. Around it, space curves inward, like a tide that does not return. There is no surface, no shell, no hard edge, just the event horizon, the place where space begins to forget how to speak. Beyond it, time folds in strange ways. Directions stop meaning what they used to. You float outside this edge, watching the story of the star collapse inward. You think of lives how some end in fire, others in silence. This star gave all its light, then folded into itself. Its death is not an ending, but a compression of everything it ever was. Inside, gravity rules completely. It is no longer balanced by light or fire. Here gravity is the author, and its ink is silence. But even silence has echoes. From this collapse, galaxies feel the ripple. Gravity waves small, soft pulses, move through space-time like shivers through a dream. The universe listens, and so do you. You begin to understand every black hole is the memory of a star, not a grave, but a library. All the mass, all the story, folded inward. The elements that scattered will seed other stars, other worlds. But this part, this deep unseeable core holds the original flame in its own quiet way. You wonder, could a black hole remember? Not like a brain, but like a rhythm. Could it hold the pattern of the star's pulse, its density, its spin, its final sigh? Maybe. The black hole does not speak. But in its silence there is shape. In its presence a kind of gravity that goes beyond mass. A gravity of meaning. A gravity of memory. You float near the event horizon. The light curves, time slows. You do not feel afraid, you feel reverent, as though witnessing a sacred thing, and perhaps you are. This isn't chaos, it's order, turned inside out. Not madness, not mystery for the sake of confusion, just depth, just quiet. Just gravity doing what it always does, holding. The black hole does not pull you, it offers, it opens. If you stepped across the edge, you wouldn't feel a drop, you'd feel a drift, a slow, irreversible joining. And maybe that is what becoming truly is, not a flash, but a surrender. You lie beneath the stars again, your thoughts returning like comets to the place where they began. Above you, the black hole remains unseen. But you know it's there, at the center of galaxies, at the end of stars, at the beginning of questions. You close your eyes. The warmth of that ancient star lingers, like the final glow of a candle just before sleep. Its light may be gone, but its gravity remains. Its story, folded. You wonder how many stars have done the same, how many whispers of collapse sing across the universe, unheard. And then you ask, so gently, if a star can become a black hole, what else might we become when our own fires go out? You drift closer now, slowly, patiently, to the edge of the unknowable. The black hole looms not as a monster, but as a boundary of meaning. You hover near the event horizon, the silent border between what is seen and what cannot return. Time here does not behave. It leans, it stretches. You reach for a moment, and it lengthens like shadow at dusk. What was once a minute begins to stretch first to 10, then to an hour, and beyond. You are not moving faster. Time is simply letting go of the idea of now. You look around, and something has changed. Light bends, curling inward like smoke. Colors shift toward red, deeper and deeper, until even red fades into something nameless. What you see, begins to feel like memory. Not quite real, not quite gone. If someone were watching you from far away, they would see you pause, freeze just outside the event horizon. To them, you never cross. You slow, slower, until your movement becomes imperceptible. Frozen in time, on the edge of falling. But from your own perspective, you move forward, gently, continuously. Each breath flows into the next. Nothing feels sudden. You are falling through stretched silk. Time is not broken, it's just curved. Einstein once imagined space and time as a single fabric. You can feel that now, woven and pliable. Here at the black hole's edge, the threads of that fabric pull and twist under immense weight. Clocks that once ticked like metronomes now hesitate, their hands stutter, their rhythm becomes a question. You sense this in your own body. Your heartbeat slows not in fear but in response. Your thoughts take longer to arrive, not because you think less, but because thinking itself is slower now. Time, once your silent partner, is becoming syrupy, like walking through honey, like dreaming in slow motion. The event horizon is not a wall, it has no surface, no texture, but you feel its presence, a threshold, a breath before the unknown. It is the edge of certainty where equations collapse and imagination begins. Physics, so confident elsewhere, starts to whisper here. The rules you knew still apply, just differently. Mass bends space, gravity curves time. But near the event horizon, those curves spiral. You float in orbit for a moment, or perhaps for hours or years. Time no longer holds you tightly. It rocks you gently, like a cradle that forgets to swing back. Imagine watching your own clock. It ticks, but each tick takes longer. 1 second, then a pause, then another, slower still, until eventually, even the idea of a second feels unfamiliar. You are not alone. Photons, packets of light, whirl around the black hole's edge. They travel in circles, trapped in perfect orbits, neither falling in nor escaping. This region is called the photon sphere, and you float just beyond it, in a place where light performs ballet. You reach out not physically, but with thought toward one of those photons. It spins beside you, like a firefly in a jar. But as you watch, it begins to redshift. Its color deepens until it disappears from your sight. Not extinguished, just stretched beyond your senses, like a song you can no longer hear, though you still feel its echo. Everywhere around you, time behaves like ocean water, still then surging, calm then strange. Some parts move faster, others barely move at all. Your own movements feel delayed, as if reality is buffering, but it's not unpleasant. It's meditative. Each thought has room to breathe. Each moment becomes its own world. You recall memories not in flashes, but in flowing streams. You explore them at leisure, unhurried by clocks or deadlines. There's a peace in this slow unraveling. The silence feels thick, like velvet draped across your shoulders. Even your breath forgets to rush. You are no longer keeping time. You are becoming part of it. Out here, physics meets poetry. Time dilates, space curves, mass becomes energy, and yet in all this complexity, you find simplicity, stillness. You think of what it means to age in such a place. Would you grow old while others see you frozen? Would your past remain visible while your future vanishes inward? You imagine a traveler falling into the black hole ahead of you. From your perspective, they slow, they freeze, but from theirs, they continue. Into what? No one truly knows. Inside the event horizon, even light cannot escape. Time and space switch roles. The direction you once called forward now leads inward. There is no turning back, no pause button, only continuation. And yet here on the threshold, you still have choice. You linger at the edge, feeling its gravity not as command, but as invitation. Not yet, not now. You rest, just beyond the line. Time flows differently here, but it flows. You feel the black hole's pull, not aggressive, but soft, like a lullaby sung in a language only matter understands. You are drifting not just in space but in scale, from seconds to centuries, from human time to cosmic time. You are learning that time isn't fixed. It stretches with gravity, It bends around mass. It responds to the shape of things, and just as you begin to let go of your need to measure, as you stop counting seconds and start feeling them, a thought rises. If time can stretch, can space stretch too? Can the fabric of the universe expand, like breath in a cold morning sky? You are here now at the edge of the unknowable, suspended in the stillness of the event horizon, not falling, not rising, just hovering at the threshold where the universe forgets how to answer. There is no roar, no jolt, no bright warning line, only a silence that deepens with every heartbeat. You are drifting in the most sacred pause in nature, the space between knowing and not knowing. The event horizon is not a wall. It has no texture, no shimmer. It is an idea, more than a place, a boundary drawn, not by matter, but by consequence. Beyond this veil, not even light can escape, not because it is forbidden, but because space itself folds inward. You float here, breath slowing, your body weightless, your thoughts softened. From the outside, you seem frozen, locked in a moment that will never quite end. But from within you are still moving, still feeling, still becoming. You feel the pull of gravity, not as a force, but as a whisper. It's not dragging you, it's inviting you, like a story drawing you into its final chapter, or the warmth of a fire that asks you to come closer, just one step more. You look behind, and space stretches out like a memory. Galaxies shimmer faintly in the distance, blurred by gravitational lensing. Even the light behind you curves in strange arcs, as though unsure which direction is truly forward. You have crossed no threshold, and yet everything is different. This is the point of no return. But it doesn't feel final. It feels intimate, as if the universe is taking a breath before saying something it's never said before. You think about light, how it rushes from stars, how it paints your world in color and shape. But here at this horizon, light cannot leave. It tries, it climbs. But the climb is too steep. The fabric of space-time falls faster than light can run. And so, light stays, bowed, bent, trapped not in a cage, but in a current that flows inward forever. And you too are part of that flow now. Not swept, not pushed, just carried, like a feather on a tide, too vast to see. Inside the event horizon, all directions point inward. It's not down, not left or right, but deeper, always deeper. You no longer fall through space, you fall through time itself. Everything you thought had edges time. Space identity begins to blur, not erase, just soften, like ink sinking into water. You are still you, but you are also something new, a traveler between truths. You reach out with your imagination, trying to touch the physics that once felt so firm, mass, energy, speed. They begin to stretch, ripple, hum. The laws you trusted do not break. They shift, they curve, as all things do under gravity's spell. And in that bending, you glimpse wonder. You are not alone in this falling. All matter that crosses this veil joins a kind of cosmic chorus. Stars, planets, dust. Each piece becomes part of the black hole's story, not lost, but translated, not erased, but encrypted. Some scientists believe information is preserved, somehow that nothing is truly destroyed, even here. Perhaps the surface of the event horizon records every detail, like a skin that remembers every brush of wind. Maybe you too are being remembered. Every thought, every heartbeat, written in ripples across the stretched fabric of space. You don't feel fear, you feel awe. Because this isn't annihilation, it's a deepening, a returning. The event horizon is not a finish line, it's a beginning drawn backward. Outside, the universe keeps spinning. Galaxies bloom, stars are born, black holes collide, and you are still part of that rhythm, only now from the inside. You wonder if no signal can escape. Can meaning? Is the self something that shines outward, or something that echoes inward forever? Maybe both. You close your eyes, though even that feels symbolic now. There is no sight in the traditional sense here, only sensation, only being. Time slows in strange ways. A second can stretch across eternity, and in that stretched moment, you feel something subtle, A turning, not a turn in space, but in thought, in understanding. This place is not the absence of law, it is the place where law becomes poetry, where the rules are written in soft symbols. You feel more than decode, you let go of needing answers, you allow yourself to feel the mystery, to hold it like water in your hands, knowing it will slip through. You imagine this black hole, in the distant heart of a galaxy, resting like a hidden gem, its gravity guiding stars, its silence shaping the music of motion. And you are here, not by accident, but by curiosity, by wonder, by the strange invitation of the unknown. You breathe if not through lungs, then through thought. You feel if not through nerves, then through knowing. And slowly another thought rises. If no escape is possible, then how can space itself escape? Because black holes shrink, they evaporate, they glow, they lose mass, they vanish. So you ask, not with urgency but with calm wonder, how does something that traps even light slowly disappear? You are no longer watching from the edge. You've crossed over softly, like slipping beneath the surface of a dream. There is no jolt, no sound of passage, only a deepening quiet. And as you drift inward, you begin to imagine the singularity. It is not a place, not really, not a dot you can see, not a location you can reach. It is a concept folded in gravity, an idea compressed into something more than matter. It is where everything the black hole contains, all its mass, all its memory, collapses into a point so dense it defies imagination. The singularity is not large, it does not shine, it does not move. It simply is. A stillness beyond stillness, a silence that bends time. You float toward it though. Toward begins to lose meaning. There are no directions here, only inward, always inward. What does it mean to reach a place smaller than thought, to arrive at something so concentrated that even space gives way? You try to picture it, but your mind offers only metaphors. A needle's tip holding the weight of galaxies, a moment so small it can hold all of time. You are not afraid. You are in awe, because this is not violence. It is not destruction. It is compression beyond reason, beyond scale. A folding of reality into its deepest shape. Laws of physics begin to dissolve, not in disarray but in surrender. Space stops stretching, time stops flowing. The formulas once etched into the stars begin to tremble. Here gravity is not a force, it is the only thing left. You drift through the last veil of understanding. Here particles cannot remain particles, distances cannot remain defined. Everything becomes one thing, a unity so complete it forgets how to be separate. There is no longer before or after, no here or there, only presence. You imagine a singularity at the center of a black hole the way you imagine a secret held in a closed fist. It is not revealed, it is not lost, it is waiting. Maybe it is waiting to become something else. Maybe it always was. You wonder, is this where beginnings come from? If all space can collapse into one point, could all space be born from one? This thought arrives like a feather, light but lingering. The singularity bends not only matter, but logic, causality, the shape of questions themselves. You think back to the Big Bang. The origin of everything, was that too a singularity? Did time once rest in stillness, then expand like breath? Maybe every black hole is a mirror of the beginning, not a grave, but a cradle, turned inward. The silence here is not empty, it is full, heavy with potential, thick with the possibility that something beyond comprehension waits just beneath the surface. You don't need answers, only stillness, only the gentle knowing that there are places where knowing stops and being begins. The singularity pulses with paradox. It is infinitely small, yet holds enormous mass. It is timeless, yet exists in time's deepest fold. You do not reach it with steps or speed, you arrive by letting go. And now in this imagined center of all things, you feel something unexpected. Peace. Not because it is calm, but because it is beyond disturbance. This is not the roaring chaos so often imagined. It is the silence that hums beneath all noise. the still point where gravity is not pulling, but resting. And yet, even here something stirs. It's not movement, but pressure. Not explosion, but intention. You begin to wonder if black holes can evaporate, if even this vast gravity can vanish. Then where does that mass go? Where does the information go? The singularity holds everything in secret, but secrets do not last forever. Even stillness changes. You imagine the whisper of Hawking radiation, a soft invisible shimmer at the black hole's edge, a slow exhale from something that should hold its breath forever. Could it be that even the singularity is not forever? Could it dissolve, gently over eons? Could this infinite stillness melt into space again, giving back what it once held? Your thoughts drift outward now. You imagine black holes evaporating, not with fire, but with softness. Not with a scream, but a sigh. And you begin to feel that the singularity is placed so dense and still might not be an end, but a pause. A resting point before another transformation. You do not see it, you do not touch it, but you carry the feeling of it, a weightless gravity. A slow breathing question. You turn inward again, listening, and in the quiet, something speaks not with sound, but with still presence. Even in silence, something remains. And as that sentence folds into the dark, another thought arrives, soft and round. If gravity can crush stars into points, could gravity also reshape the fabric of space itself? Could it stretch the cosmos not just in collapse but in expansion? Far from the singularity's stillness, you begin to drift outward again, not away. Exactly, just wider. Your thoughts expand like breath after holding it too long, and in this widening, you begin to notice something delicate a tremble in the fabric of space. It is not a sound, it is not a flash. It is a ripple, slow and ancient, stretching across the cosmos like a sigh beneath all matter. These are gravitational waves, not light, not particles, but the soft echoes of mass in motion. You listen, not with ears, but with that quiet part of your awareness that feels gravity, like gravity, feels you. And slowly, the universe begins to whisper. Two black holes far, far away once spiraled toward each other, massive and invisible. They danced in silence, each curve of their orbit tightening like a winding thread. They moved with no friction, no sound, but their movement stirred space-time itself. You imagine it like fabric stretched across eternity, and when something heavy shifts upon it, ripples spread not across the surface, but through its very weave. Gravitational waves do not shimmer, they do not glow, but they pass through everything, unchallenged, unchanged, whispering their stories to all who are patient enough to listen. You follow one wave now, a long, soft ripple that began over 1 billion years ago. It was born when two black holes collided, their bodies merging, not with a crash, but with an embrace too vast to see. In that moment, space itself trembled, and that tremble is still moving. It flows through galaxies, through clouds of stars, through dust and planets and moons. Now, it passes through you. It does not shake you. It doesn't even touch you in any way you'd notice, not unless you were impossibly still, watching lasers split to 1/trillionth of a width, measuring distance so fine that even atoms seem clumsy. That's how we first heard them, not with sound, but with stillness. You recall the LIGO detector's two arms stretching miles apart, waiting not for what could be seen, but for what could not. And one day they heard it. The ripple, a wave that had been traveling since long before Earth had continents. It passed through quietly, not altering the world, but confirming that space itself can sing. You imagine that wave again, long, slow, deep. It tells a story without words. Two massive hearts of darkness, spiraling, circling, and then becoming one. And somehow that dance changed the fabric of everything. You begin to feel something warm in the idea that space remembers, that motion leaves echo, that even black holes so silent, so concealed, cannot hide their love stories, because that's what a merger is. A joining. A cosmic embrace so strong, it sends out ripples that never stop. Gravitational waves carry no image, they bring no picture, but they bring shape, mass, movement. And so from them, we learn of things we cannot see. We know the size of the black holes, how fast they danced, how far they spun before becoming one, all from a wave, all from a ripple, a whisper written into space-time itself. You wonder how many of these waves pass through the Earth each day. Dozens, hundreds, maybe more. You realize the universe is full of unspoken things, and some of them move right through you right now. You close your eyes and imagine the sky above not as empty, but as textured. Each gravitational wave adds to that texture wrinkles in an otherwise smooth blanket. Soft patterns of mass in motion. It's beautiful. This idea that even silence has geometry, that even nothingness is never quite still. And now you understand, gravity doesn't only pull, it dances. Gravitational waves are not shouts. They are more like ripples left in a pond after two fish meet in the deep. You picture a neutron star colliding with another, or a white dwarf spiraling into a black hole. Each cosmic meeting leaves a mark, not in flame, but in form. These waves are hard to detect, not because they are weak, but because they are subtle. The universe speaks in quiet ways, and if you want to hear it, you have to be still. You imagine placing your palm against the fabric of space-time. You'd feel it moving, just slightly, just enough to remind you that nothing stands still forever. These waves move at the speed of light, but they are not made of light. They are movement itself, the rhythm of mass, traveling through the orchestra of the cosmos. You wonder what it means to be part of such a universe, to live in a place where even the invisible can leave footprints. You begin to realize you are not separate from this. You are woven into that same fabric. The gravity that shapes galaxies also holds your feet to the ground. The ripples that move between stars pass through your chest as you sleep. Even your body listens to tides, to pull, to the small gravitational dances of sun and moon. You are not an outsider in this universe. You are part of its movement, its rhythm. You think of all the collisions that never made light, all the stories the stars never told with heat, but told anyway with motion. Gravitational waves are reminders that some truths arrive quietly, that even in the dark, the universe communicates. Not everything must shine to be seen, not everything must speak to be heard. And so you lie there still, listening with the deepest part of you. And as another ripple passes, you wonder if gravity can send waves across the cosmos. Can space itself ripple in reverse? Can it swell? Can it stretch everywhere, all at once? You find yourself near the edge again, not of fear, but of fascination. This is not the inside of the black hole, nor the outer dark of empty space. It is the glowing borderland, the liminal space, where matter hesitates and light begins to dance. You are watching from a safe, quiet place. There is no danger here, only beauty, only rhythm. Before you, the black hole spins not as a void, but as a sculpture of gravity. You cannot see its center. It offers no surface, no reflection, but you can see what it affects. And that tells its story. Swirling around it, like a storm around the eye, is the accretion disk, a glowing ring of gas and dust, pulled close, but not yet consumed. You watch it spiral, brilliant and wild, 1,000 shades of orange and gold, twisting into each other like ribbons in slow fire. This is not gentle, but it is graceful. The matter is hot, so hot, it radiates X-rays heated by friction, by speed, by the desperate whirl of particles trying to escape and failing. You don't see chaos, you see choreography. Each spin, each twist, a silent testament to the pull at the center. This glowing disk is not just matter, it is memory. It holds pieces of stars, of comets, of ancient things pulled from distant orbits. Everything here is moving fast, close to the speed of light, and yet it all moves in order. You imagine a grain of dust, small, insignificant, being drawn inward. As it falls, it heats. As it heats, it glows, and for a brief moment, it becomes part of this luminous ring, a firefly caught in orbit. Some of the light escapes, and some of it stays, caught in looping paths around the black hole's edge. You focus on that light. Photons, little packets of energy, circle the black hole in what's known as the photon sphere. Here, light doesn't travel straight. It curves. It loops. Sometimes it orbits more than once before flying off. Sometimes it never escapes. You imagine standing at just the right angle, in just the right place. You would see a distorted reflection of the universe, stars duplicated, stretched, twisted around the black hole like a mirror dropped into water. And beyond all that, the glowing ring, astronomers call it the black hole shadow. It is not the black hole itself, you see, but the light around it, the halo made from matter not yet lost. You remember the first image ever captured of a black hole, a blurry glowing ring, a firelit circle around a dark center, a photograph of something we could never touch, but finally saw. That image wasn't sharp, but it was clear, a silhouette carved not by form, but by absence. You begin to understand, the black hole is not just what it swallows, it is also what it reveals. Even here, at the edge of the darkest object in the cosmos, there is light, and not just any light, but light in motion, light dancing, light bent and flung and wrapped into spirals, as if it too were curious. You wonder what it would be like to ride one of those photons, to be a flash of light, looping again and again around the black hole, trapped in a perfect orbit, never touching, never leaving. Would you feel lost, or would you feel devoted, committed to that spin, that orbit, that ballet at the edge of gravity? Even from a distance, the light is affected. A phenomenon called gravitational lensing bends the path of background starlight. You see stars behind the black hole, but their light curves around it, so they appear twice, or more, duplicated by the gravity they never touched. The black hole is invisible, but the universe bends around it. It makes you think how many things in life are unseen but shape everything around them. Not everything leaves a trail. Not everything can be looked at directly, but you can always observe its influence. The light near a black hole tells you everything you need to know. There is something here immense, quiet, and impossibly patient. And though it takes in all that crosses its horizon, it still allows some things like light to circle a little longer, to dance before surrendering. You begin to feel the poetry in it. The idea that light does not simply flee or fall, it resists. It clings to orbit. It curves with dignity. It reminds you that even when something seems inevitable, there can still be movement, still grace, still glowing. You take a deep breath, as if inhaling some of that warm amber light. It fills your chest, not with heat, but with wonder. Because this light, this circling fire comes not from the black hole, but from what is being transformed by it. And in that transformation, there is beauty. The accretion disk will not last forever. The matter will fall inward, the light will vanish, the ring will fade, but for now it glows, and that glow tells us everything we know about what lies at the center. You lie there, thinking how strange it is that we understand darkness by watching what orbits it, that we trace shadows by following the glow around their edges. You feel yourself circling too, not trapped, but entranced, and slowly, as the light loops one more time, a new question arrives, quietly. If matter can orbit darkness and emit light, could the very fabric of the universe spin too? Could space itself rotate, twist, spiral into motion? You lie in stillness, suspended in quiet thought, and from that silence a voice begins to rise, not spoken, not loud, but clear. It's Stephen Hawking, not the man himself, but the ripple of his idea, a question whispered into the universe, and still echoing, what if black holes aren't forever? You feel the thought arrive, slow and soft like a feather landing. The idea presses gently into your awareness, unfolding not as theory, but as story. You've come to know black holes as keepers of mass, of gravity, of silence. But what if, Hawking asked, they are also levers? You drift into that paradox now, not resisting, just floating in the shape of the question. The thought begins at the edge, at the event horizon. This boundary, this silent veil, isn't entirely silent. It turns out, According to Hawking, something faint escapes. You picture empty space, still, cold, black. But even here, particles blink in and out of existence. Tiny pairs, born from the vacuum. A dance of opposites, one particle, one antiparticle. They usually meet again and cancel each other out. A momentary flicker, gone. But near a black hole's horizon, something strange happens. One particle falls in, the other escapes. You follow the one that escapes. It doesn't rush, it drifts softly, slowly, like steam rising from a cup held in the night. This is Hawking radiation. It's not bright, not visible, but it's real. A faint, ghostly glow, born from quantum chance and gravitational depth. You imagine the black hole so immense, beginning to radiate, not fire, not light, but information, leaking gently back into space. The radiation doesn't come from inside, not directly. It's a surface thing, a shimmer at the edge, a soft exhale from a boundary once believed unbreachable, and slowly, ever so slowly, this loss adds up. The black hole shrinks. It takes time, unfathomable time, longer than the life of stars, longer than galaxies themselves may last. But still the black hole loses mass, bit by bit, glow by glow. You begin to sense the poetry of it, that even the darkest object in the universe cannot hold on forever. Even black holes say goodbye. You imagine this farewell not as destruction, but as release, a final gift, a quiet promise that nothing in the cosmos is completely silent. There is something comforting in this paradox that the ultimate keepers of matter are also, eventually, givers. The energy that escapes was never quite inside the black hole. It was part of the field around it, the edge, the in-between. And so, the black hole doesn't explode, it evaporates. Not like steam from boiling water, but like a memory softening with time. At first the radiation is slow, almost imperceptible. But as the black hole shrinks, it grows warmer. The radiation increases, the glow intensifies, and near the end, in its final moments, a once huge black hole blazes briefly, then fades. You do not feel fear at this. You feel a kind of gratitude for endings that are not cruel, for physics that remembers how to let go. Hawking's idea changed everything. It suggested that black holes don't erase, they evolve. They have life cycles, they age. You begin to feel that even in the absence of light, there is the potential for warmth. And even in the coldest, deepest places, the laws of nature remain soft enough to allow an echo to escape. You think now of information, the shape of matter, the texture of events, the blueprint of all things. If black holes emit radiation, what happens to information? Does it vanish? Or is it encoded in the glow? This is the paradox that still dances not just in science but in your imagination, because if black holes can give back, then perhaps nothing is truly lost. Perhaps everything is remembered, in a new form. You imagine the radiation carrying whispers, not of words but of presence. Each particle a message. Something was here, something lived, fell, transformed. You picture the universe as a place of long memory, where even silence has layers, where even darkness writes itself into light. The thought lingers in your chest like warmth. Hawking's radiation is gentle, but it speaks boldly. Nothing is beyond reach, not even the unreachable. It's the quiet defiance of physics that even at the edge of reality, there's a shimmer of escape. And you begin to wonder, what would a black hole's final moment look like? A flash, a fading sigh, or something we haven't yet imagined. You drift beside the idea, letting it curl around you like fog. You think of time, of space, of how the smallest particles can carry away the greatest weight. You are reminded, the universe doesn't rush, even its endings take eons. Even its farewells are patient. The night stretches gently outward, and you feel yourself stretching too, not apart, but wide, to hold these quiet questions. What begins as science becomes something softer, a kind of lullaby for the cosmos. You let it soothe you. The idea that nothing stays the same, that even gravity, even silence, learns how to exhale. And in the last flicker of thought, as Hawking's paradox settles like dust into your stillness, a new question rises like morning mist. If even black holes can vanish into light, could the entire universe someday do the same? You drift now, not through space exactly, but through possibility, through thoughts stretched thin and curious, the kind that ask questions no telescope can answer. In the silence after Hawking's soft radiation, another idea rises. The wormhole, a tunnel, a shortcut, a bridge through space-time, folding the vast into the near. You imagine it the way dreamers do, an opening in the fabric of the universe, a mouth in the dark and a path curving inward, then outward again, emerging somewhere else. Not just somewhere distant, but maybe somewhen. Could it be? A black hole not as an end, but a threshold. You float inside the question, letting it swirl gently. There's no need to believe, only to wonder. The idea first bloomed from equations. Einstein's theory allowed for strange geometries, shapes of space that looped, stretched, bent in ways your mind hesitates to hold. And in 1935, Einstein and Rosen sketched such a shape, a bridge between two regions of space-time. It became known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge. Others gave it a simpler name, wormhole. You picture one now, not as a tunnel through rock, but as a throat of light and curve, invisible but present. The kind of place where space folds in like paper bent edge to edge, two distant points brought together. If you could pass through, you might cross galaxies in a breath. You might arrive in another part of the cosmos, or another moment in its unfolding. But wormholes are not easy things. They are delicate, unstable, theoretical. To exist, they may need exotic matter material with negative energy, the kind that presses outward instead of pulling in. You pause there, letting that thought rest gently in your chest. What does it mean for a passage to require a kind of anti-gravity? For a bridge to need support not from strength, but from reversal? You don't know. No one does. But physics permits the question, and that's enough. For now, some imagine black holes paired with white holes, not opposites in color, but in behavior. Black holes pull in, white holes push out. One devours, the other repels. Could they be two mouths of the same tunnel? Could something fall in and emerge again elsewhere? You drift through the image, feeling its weight and lightness at once. No one has ever found a white hole. Perhaps they do not exist, or perhaps they cannot remain open, because the equations don't lie, but reality often answers differently. Still, the thought returns. What if the darkness at the center of a black hole is not a prison, but a passage? What if the singularity is not an end, but a turn? You think of space as a landscape, and a wormhole as a cave beneath it, hidden from view, but offering connection beneath the surface. And you think of time not as a straight road, but as a field of threads, some of them tangled, some of them crossing. Could a wormhole stitch two moments together? Not only distant places, but distant nows. The idea both thrills and unsettles you, because with shortcuts come paradoxes. What if you could meet your past, or send messages before they were written? Time doesn't like loops, and yet, the universe allows for the math. Your mind drifts to science fiction, to ships vanishing into wormhole mouths, to travelers crossing space-time not in years, but in seconds. Imagination has always traveled faster than evidence. But still you feel the weight of the question linger, because even if wormholes are unstable, even if they collapse faster than light could pass, they are still possible. And in physics, possible is sacred. You picture one again, a black hole ringed in light, with a tunnel blooming in its center. You do not see destruction. You see passage. Not escape, but transformation. But then another voice returns, not spoken, just present, skepticism. Wormholes, if they exist, might be microscopic. They might last less than an instant. They might not carry information, or anything we know. You hold both thoughts, the bridge and the mirror, because black holes may not be doors. They may simply be reflectors bending light, warping time, reminding us how curved the universe can be. You wonder, is it enough to see the shape, even if you cannot step through it, to feel a theory like music heard, but not held? You think again of those who watch light swirl around black holes, catching echoes of things unseen. Perhaps wormholes are the same, echoes of geometry, traced in possibility, etched into our questions, and still you cannot help but hope that somewhere, somewhen, a fold exists, that two distant places once touched, that the universe carries shortcuts woven between its vastness, not because they are useful, but because they are beautiful. And as you rest in that thought, you sense something beneath it, another ripple, another question rising. Because if space-time can fold, if wormholes can connect the far and the near, could the universe itself have folded once? Could it have opened from something even smaller than a wormhole, from nothing at all? You drift now into the quieter corners of curiosity, not the dazzling light of collisions, or the spirals of space-bending gravity, but a softer puzzle, one that asks not where things go, but what remains of them. You are floating at the edge of thought, in the silence after collapse, and the question comes gently, when a thing falls into a black hole, is it gone forever? The classical answer was simple, yes. A black hole swallows all matter, light, memory, motion. Everything that crosses the event horizon slips into shadow, lost to the world, but the universe, it seems, dislikes forgetting. You begin to feel this quietly, as though nature, in all its vastness, might be a careful archivist, a keeper of stories, even in places we cannot see. This idea lives in quantum mechanics, the physics of the very small. At that scale, information cannot be destroyed. Particles may change, but their history is woven into the fabric of the future. So how could black holes, so massive, so final, break that rule? You rest inside the paradox now, letting it wrap around you. It is called the information paradox, and it unfolds like a soft argument between gravity and quantum theory, a disagreement whispered across decades of science. Black holes, by their nature, seem to erase. They crush matter to a point. They radiate away their mass in slow, patient heat. And when they evaporate completely, what's left? Where does the information go? You think of a letter burned to ash, gone, not entirely. The smoke, the particles, the rising heat, they all carry clues, and in theory, if you had every molecule, every photon, you could piece the letter back together. Quantum theory says the universe is the same. Nothing is truly lost, only transformed. But black holes, they seem to break that promise. Unless they keep a record. You let that possibility float in your mind. Some physicists suggest the event horizon is more than a point of no return. It's a kind of boundary layer, a membrane that stores information like patterns on a drum. Every object that falls in leaves an imprint, not a photograph, but a signature, a quantum echo. And perhaps as the black hole evaporates, that information is not lost, but released, not erased, but slowly rewritten into space. You think of entropy, a measure of disorder, of how energy becomes less usable as time flows forward. Black holes, surprisingly, have entropy too. In fact, they have a lot of it. Their surface area of horizon is proportional to their entropy, not volume, not mass, area. This seems strange, but it might be the universe's hint that information lives on the surface, not inside. You imagine the event horizon again, a dark, curved skin stretched around a mystery. Every particle that falls in leaves, a wrinkle, a shimmer, a memory written into the horizon's edge. This is the idea of black hole thermodynamics. It says the laws of heat, of energy and entropy, still apply even here. And the second law, entropy never decreases. Even when light is swallowed, even when stars collapse, the record must remain. You begin to feel that black holes are not erasers, but archivists. They compress, they fold, they hide. But they remember. Some physicists go further, they speak of holography. The idea that the information of three-dimensional space can be encoded on a two-dimensional boundary. A hologram, a projection. Perhaps black holes are like this, their inner depths encoded on the surface. What falls in is written not inside, but around. You imagine looking at a sphere, not seeing inside, but knowing its contents because of the way its skin is shaped. You rest in that metaphor, not needing to solve it, only to feel its shape. The information paradox has not been fully answered. Not yet, but whispers of resolution come from string theory, from quantum gravity, from the soft hum of decades of patient thought. You understand, gently, that the universe is more careful than it seems. Even when it appears to consume, it may only be transforming. You think now of the night sky, of all the stars that have fallen, all the matter that has vanished into black holes. Are there stories still somewhere, encoded in the fabric of space-time, held in radiation, written on horizons? And if we could read that language, what would we learn? Perhaps the black hole is not just a destroyer, but a vault, not a grave, but a lockbox, waiting to open. You imagine a final moment far into the future, when the last black hole evaporates, releasing its final whispers. Not light, but information. Not noise, but meaning. And in that gentle unraveling, the universe may remember itself, not all at once, not loudly, but with grace. You breathe deeply. The idea is not certain, but it's beautiful. And sometimes in the quiet rhythm of science and wonder, beauty is the beginning of truth. Even black holes, those keepers of gravity and silence, may be writing everything down, line by line, particle by particle. A kind of cosmic bookkeeping, done not with ink, but with curvature. You lie there, still feeling the weight and lightness of it all. The thought that the universe forgets nothing, that even now, your presence, your breath, your wonder are being softly recorded in the language of physics. And just as your eyes begin to close, another thought floats through you, curious and warm. If black holes keep the memory of what falls in, what memory might the universe hold of its own beginning? You are here now, not circling, not orbiting, not questioning from a safe distance, but truly here, at the edge, at the horizon, at the place where the universe turns inward. And this time, you do not stop. You do not hesitate. You cross. But there is no sudden break, no flash, no sound. The line is not marked. It is not drawn in fire or shadow. It is simply passed as gently as breath leaving the body, as quietly as sleep arriving, after a long day. And in that step, something shifts. Falling becomes floating. The sense of direction dissolves. There is no up or down, only inward. You thought the horizon would feel like an edge, sharp, final, decisive, but it feels more like a veil, thin, soft, and forgiving. There is no violence here, only stillness, only the soundless unfolding of everything. And now that you are inside, the question of escape no longer matters. You are not here to flee, you are here to feel. The pull is strong, yes, but it is not cruel, it is not clawing, it is not clawing, it is inevitable, like gravity, like sleep, like music, drifting towards silence. You feel yourself becoming part of this place, not erased, not diminished, just quieter. The rushing thoughts that once swirled around the mystery of black holes now settle. Your need to explain softens, and what remains is experience. Time begins to shift, not stop, just slow, like a river thickening with silt. Your seconds stretch, one breath becomes a lifetime. You feel no fear, only astonishment at how gentle the unknown can be. You wonder, is this what it's like for stars? To collapse not in terror, but in surrender. To trust the pull toward the center. You do the same. You let go of trying to hold shape, and you become flow. The horizon is behind you now, but not forgotten. It is a part of you, like the surface of a wave is part of the sea. You think about all the stories that led to this moment. The photons spinning at the edge, the ripples across space-time, the thoughts of Hawking, the whispers of wormholes, the memory of matter, all of it, gathered here. Inside this one vast hush, you are in the presence of something deeper than gravity, something that doesn't speak, but listens. And maybe that's what a black hole really is, a listener. so deep, so patient, that it holds every story ever told. You float through this thought, letting it expand like breath. You realize that you are no longer just in space, you are in curvature, in a place where space and time braid together, twist inward, become inseparable. Here distance is a suggestion, duration is a question. You move but you do not travel, and still you exist, softly, gently, fully. You've crossed the place that many fear, and you've found serenity, not clarity, not understanding, but a kind of acceptance that makes peace with not knowing. You become aware of something subtle, not around you but through you. It feels like memory, not of your life, but of the universe itself, as if you were touching the original silence, the moment before the first moment, the breath before the Big Bang, and perhaps from here, you can imagine it. The beginning, not an explosion, but an unfolding, not fire, but light emerging from stillness. Perhaps the singularity at the heart of the black hole, and the singularity at the start of everything, are not opposites but reflections, not alpha and omega, but one continuous curve. You feel it now, not as a theory, but as a rhythm, creation and collapse, emergence and return, expansion and surrender, all part of the same breath. And you are floating in its pause. You don't need to know what lies at the center. You don't need to decode the mystery, because you are living it, being it. You think of a wave returning to the ocean, not lost but rejoined. You think of light looping around the horizon, spinning once more before vanishing inward, not failed, but fulfilled. You think of yourself, not falling, but arriving, and in that arrival, a quiet truth. Some journeys do not lead out. They lead in, not to answers, but to presence, not to discovery, but to dissolving into wonder. And now, in this final moment, you feel no edge, no line, no border between you and the unknown. You are inside it, you are of it, and it is kind. The mystery has not been solved, but it has become a friend. And just before you drift fully into that gentle dark, a final thought flickers. If falling into the unknown can feel like peace, what might it feel like to emerge from it again? You return, now not in speed, but in rhythm, not pulled by gravity, but drawn by softness. You return not from distance, but from depth. You open your eyes, or perhaps they were never closed, and there it is again, the sky above, the same sky, but not the same you. The stars blink with a quiet familiarity, as if they've been watching you sleep, and maybe they have, maybe they always do. But now, after everything, the spirals, the silence, the singularities, you feel something has changed. Not the stars you. You've traveled through theory and metaphor, floated through curved space and soft time, listened to radiation and memory, to questions and paradoxes so gentle they could rock you to sleep. And now, back here, beneath a sky that has always felt vast, you feel it differently. Not smaller, not bigger, just closer. You rest beneath its tapestry, each star a breath, each cluster a sentence, each galaxy a paragraph in a story that no one being will ever finish reading. But somehow you've read a few lines, and they've stayed with you. Black holes are no longer shadows that devour, they are thresholds that listen. Keepers of time, holders of light, singers of slow, soundless lullabies. You think of the horizon not of endings, but of invitations. How many things in life once seemed frightening until you saw their edges up close? You remember how you imagined falling, only to find it was floating. How the unknown, once sharp, became soft in its stillness. The stars no longer look like decorations pinned to a distant ceiling. They feel like storytellers, quiet, ancient, patient. Each one has lived and died in cycles older than names. Each one a furnace that gave you something: carbon in your body, iron in your blood, light in your eyes. And somewhere, around some of those stars, black holes spin not as enemies, but as punctuation marks in the sentences of space. You feel gratitude now, not for answers but for the questions. The gentle kind, the kind that don't demand solving, but invite resting with. You lie there, still under the same stars, and the earth feels softer too. The ground beneath you doesn't just hold you up, it holds memory of every fall of sunlight, every echo of moonlight, every particle that once belonged to something ancient. You breathe in, and the air is not just air, it is recycled starlight, atoms that once spun in suns now passing through your lungs with the quiet intimacy of wind. You are part of the story too. You've always been. The boundary between you and the cosmos feels thinner now, not erased, just more transparent. The distance between your skin and the stars is not so far when you realize you carry their memory inside you. Black holes no longer frighten you. They soothe you. They are reminders that even the most powerful things can still whisper, that even in collapse there is grace, that endings can be curved instead of sharp, and perhaps that's how life is too. Not a straight line, not a falling off, but a folding inward, a return, a slow circling back to the places we began. You rest in that idea as you rest in your body, the same body that carries minerals forged in stellar hearts and water once drifting in interstellar clouds. You are not merely looking at space, you are space, briefly aware of itself. And so you breathe not just to survive, but to listen. To the soft hum beneath all things, to the rhythm that links heartbeat to orbit, sleep to spin, gravity to grace. You remember now, black holes do not scream. They do not consume with rage, they sing, they glow, they remember. And perhaps they dream, of stars they once were, of stories they still hold, of light they curved but never lost. And now as your breath slows, as the weight of your body settles gently into Earth's embrace, you let the thought settle too, that maybe, just maybe, you are not separate from the dark, you are part of it. Not in fear, but in rhythm. You are not falling, you are floating, not searching, just resting, not lost, just part of the mystery. The stars above blink their ancient signals, and you blink back, not with sight, but with stillness. And as the last thoughts begin to blur into sleep, you wonder if stars can leave behind black holes to whisper their stories. What quiet stories might you be leaving behind, for the universe to remember?